Weapons supplied by Britain to Ukraine can be used to strike inside Russia, David Cameron has said, as the UK Foreign Secretary promised £3 billion a year for as long as it is necessary to help Kiev. Patrick Winter writes that it is the UK's biggest spending pledge since Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022. In January, the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, pledged £2.5 billion in military aid to Ukraine for 2024 to 25. Cameron said, Ukraine has the right to strike inside Russia because Russia is striking inside Ukraine. You can understand why Ukraine feels the need to defend itself. The Foreign Secretary announced that the UK's donation of military equipment would include precision-guided bombs, air defense missiles and equipment for 100 mobile air defense teams to shoot down Russia's drones and missiles. The UK also committed to doubling its domestic munitions production by investing a further £10 billion over the next 10 years. We've just emptied all we can in terms of giving equipment, just said Cameron. Some of the equipment is actually arriving in Ukraine today, while I am here. Emmanuel Macron has said the question of sending Western troops to Ukraine would legitimately arise if Russia broke through Ukrainian front lines and Kiev made such a request. In an interview with The Economist, the French president maintained his stance of strategic ambiguity, saying, I'm not ruling anything out because we are facing someone who is not ruling anything out. At least 8 children were injured in the town of Darachi in Ukraine's northeastern Kharkiv region on Thursday when Russian-guided bombs struck a site close to a sports complex where they had been training, local officials said. An elderly man was also wounded. Russia said on Thursday it had captured the village of Berdikai, which lies about 12 kilometers, 7 miles, northwest of Avdiivka, a week after Ukrainian forces pulled out. Over the weekend, Ukraine's commander-in-chief, Oleksandr Syrsky, said troops had retreated from Berdikai and 2 other nearby villages to protect the lives and health of our defenders. Russian energy company Gazprom said on Thursday it suffered a record annual loss in 2023 as the European market was practically shut to its gas exports due to war sanctions. The state-owned firm suffered a net loss of 629 billion rubles, $6.90 BN/pound 5.5 BN, in 2023 compared with a net profit of 1.23 trillion tons rubles in 2022. The governors of 3 Russian regions reported that energy facilities were damaged by Ukrainian drone strikes. Oryol region governor Andrei Klitschkov said energy infrastructure was hit in 2 communities. The Smolensk and Kursk governors reported 1 facility damaged in each region. The Kremlin has rejected allegations by the US that Russian forces used the chemical weapon chloropikrin against Ukrainian. Moscow also criticized a fresh round of US sanctions, including on entities in China and other countries that Western investigators have linked with Russia's war effort. Several Chinese banks have stopped servicing Russian clients after being warned they could be hit with Western sanctions, Russian and Western media have reported in recent months. The Chinese government said it would take necessary measures in response to what it called the illegal and unilateral sanctions against normal trading relations. The US package targets nearly 300 entities in Russia, China, and other countries. China has never condemned Russia's attack on Ukraine and stands accused of indirectly supporting the war. NATO has condemned an intensifying campaign of Russian malign activities on member states' territory, including disinformation, sabotage, violence, and cyber interference. Authorities in the Czech Republic, Estonia, Germany, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, and Britain have recently investigated and charged people in connection with a hostile state activity. In London, a 20-year-old British man has been charged with masterminding an arson plot against a Ukrainian-linked target, while Czech authorities announced in March they had busted a Moscow-financed network that spread Russian propaganda and influence, including in the European Parliament. Vladimir Putin sees domestic and international developments trending in his favor and the war is unlikely to end soon, the U.S. Director of National Intelligence, Avril Haines, has told the Senate Armed Services Committee. Putin's increasingly aggressive tactics against Ukraine, such as strikes on Ukraine's electricity infrastructure, were intended to impress Ukraine that continuing to fight will only increase the damage to Ukraine and offer no plausible path to victory.